0112. Mr. Jackson was previously in court, entered a plea of guilty to aggravated robbery. There was no agreement in this case. I've received the pre-sentence report. Have you both had an opportunity to review that report?
We have, Your Honor.
State has, Judge.
Are there any additions or corrections?
Not from the defense.
Not from the state, Judge.
Right, Mr. Rojas, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I realize, Judge, we've got a problem with guns in this county, and more specifically in the city. I don't know that anything we do here today is going to solve that problem. Certainly there are things you can do to deter other people watching this and see what happens to young people with guns. But I think there are some people who are not going to learn their lesson until they go to prison and spend a certain amount of time there. There are some people who are going to go to prison and never going to learn that lesson. They'll just spend their life in a revolving door, coming into court, prison, in court, back to prison. And there are those that, for whatever reason, the circumstances they find themselves in their life, they make bad decisions, make mistakes, and are deserving of a second chance. He was raised by his mother and his grandmother. He lost his mother, I think he was 15 when she passed away. His life went into a downward spiral from there. Just,
Your Honor, you know where I stand on these kind of cases, so I won't belabor that. But what I will do is point out what I consider to be aggravating factors in this case, Judge. And despite Mr. Rojas's argument as to what mitigation there is in this case, I believe the aggravating circumstances outweigh any mitigating circumstances. And what I'm getting at is the fact that this defendant robbed at gunpoint with another co-defendant who was also brandishing a firearm, a 16-year-old, took his iPhone in front of that 16-year-old's 5-year-old niece, Judge. Can you imagine the trauma to that 5-year-old to watch her 16-year-old uncle get robbed at gunpoint, Judge? And with regard to the firearm that this defendant used, it was a P80, Your Honor, for the courts, in case you're not familiar with that, polymer 80 firearm that comes in a firearm kit that is partially complete. Doesn't take much to make it a functioning firearm. The thing about that is the ATF calls those guns ghost guns because they have no serial number. I submit to the court, what does a defendant, in this case, at the time, a 17-year-old defendant need with a firearm that does not have a serial number, Judge? So for those reasons, I say that any mitigating circumstances are outweighed by those aggravating circumstances that I just referenced. And I'd ask the court to sentence this defendant in accordance with your sentences in other similarly situated cases, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Mr. Jackson, these cases are hard for me, and I know Mr. Rojas has told you what's been going on and what's been going on in this court, and I'm sure you're aware of all of that. I find your case a little bit different than some, but not the guns are the biggest concern for me and for everyone, and the using them in a way like it's no big deal and everybody having them at 15, 16, 14, whatever. I appreciate the fact also, though, that you've never been in trouble. As a juvenile, you've never been in our system. You figured out real quick that you need to follow the rules in jail, because I'm sure word got out there people are talking about the fact that is something that really affects me and what I do. And so I appreciate the fact that you've gotten your act together out there. And I'm talking because I don't know what I'm going to do with you right now, because I don't disagree with either attorney here today. And that puts me in a position where I've got my job is two things. Is one more than that, really. One is to protect our community. Another is to punish. Another is to rehabilitate. It's something where I have to potentially take chances that makes me sometimes uncomfortable. It looks like that before your mom passed away, you were doing really well in school, playing basketball, right? And that's a hard thing to go through, especially at your age. But you can't let something like that get you where you are now. Right? What would she want you to be doing? Not this. Right?
Good, no.
So does grandmother live in the same neighborhood where all this took place?
Stay with my grandma.
You live with your grandmother, but does she live in that same neighborhood? Is that where you were living when this happened?
Not literally by the neighborhood. Some like
How far away from those apartments do you live?
2 blocks.
Do you have anything you want to tell me?
Apologize to the victim and the victim family for putting them in this situation.
All right, here's what I'm going to do, Mr.
A
Jackson.
young
And I
defendant walked into court facing the possibility of spending decades behind bars after pleading guilty to aggravated robbery involving a ghost gun. Prosecutors described a terrifying robbery where Paul Jackson and another armed suspect robbed a 16-year-old boy at gunpoint right in front of the victim's 5-year-old niece. The state argued that the trauma caused to those children, combined with the use of an untraceable ghost gun, made the crime extremely serious. But Jackson's defense attorney painted a different picture. He explained that Jackson had never been in trouble before and that his life spiraled after losing his mother at just 15 years old. Before her death, he was doing well in school and playing basketball. The defense argued that Jackson was not beyond saving and deserved one opportunity to turn his life around before prison destroyed his future completely. The judge admitted the case put her in a difficult position. She said protecting the community was her top responsibility, but she also believed some young people deserved a second chance if they were willing to change. Looking directly at Jackson, she warned him that if he ever came back to court after receiving mercy, the consequences would be devastating. She made it clear she was taking a major risk by trusting him with probation instead of prison. In the end, the judge spared Jackson from a prison sentence that could have lasted 15 to 20 years. Instead, she placed him on 10 years of deferred probation, ordered him to serve 3 months in county jail, complete a rehabilitation program, obey a strict curfew, live with his grandmother, avoid all firearms, and stay away from both the victims and his co-defendant. The judge's final warning was unforgettable. If he violated probation and returned to court, his future would not go well.
follow these rules, because if you don't follow the rules, you're going to go to prison. They may or may not. So you're starting off your early adulthood very different, and you either make a conscious decision to change and grow up and be mature about it, or you end up in prison. It's that simple, right? Once you get out of ISF, you'll live with grandmother. I'm going to order that you are ordered to live with her at her house until I order otherwise. So you get a job, you want to get your own place, you want to go live somewhere else. You don't get to do that without my permission. So you don't get to go hang out other places. You're home every single night. You will have a curfew. If you're not there and you're caught not home when you're supposed to be, you're right back in here and you could go to prison. So I'll do what I can to put the rules there. It's up to you to follow them. Make sense?
Yeah.
Obviously, a condition of your probation is that you are not allowed to have any firearm at all. You cannot have firearms at your disposal. So if there are firearms at grandmother's house, they either have to be under lock and key or removed from that house. I can assure you, if you get in trouble with a gun again, it's really not going to be good. Okay. This is your chance. I hope you take it and this changes your life, because this type of probation that I just gave you means you do not have a felony conviction on your record. So if you have a felony conviction, it changes your life really bad in a lot of ways. You can't get certain jobs. You can't go to certain schools. You can't live certain places, even apartments. Sometimes they don't let convicted felons live there. So you don't have a felony conviction right now. But if you violate, you're back in and you do. So you kind of have a clean slate, and it's up to you to keep it that way. Okay. I'm handing you the trial court certification that shows this was an agreement, or there was no agreement. Actually, you do have some rights to appeal. You can talk to Mr. Rojas about that.
Judge, I would ask that the court consider making a condition of its probation, no contact with the co-defendants.
Yes,
And I was looking for the names of those co-defendants. I can't find this.
it might be in here. So, Mr. Jackson, you are to have absolutely no contact, no communication whatsoever with, Dale McDonald. Okay. And also obviously no contact, no communication with the victims in the offense. You're not to go near that street or their house. So if that's the way you normally get in and out of the neighborhood, you've got to find another way to go. You cannot be anywhere near that area. Do you understand?
You just,